Rev up your engine! This 2014 Dodge has a throttle problem. Realize that cars are a lot more complex than they used to be. My 94 Celica has a throttle cable. That opens the throttle. The cable goes, of course, down to the pedal, and when you step on it, it opens the throttle. The modern cars are all computerized. They have an electronic throttle. That's down here. There's an electronic motor. There's no cable. It just uses electric wires and a computer. And when you step on the throttle, it's not physically connected to the engine. It's electronic. It's like a computer mouse. You push it down, variable resistor tells how much it's been pushed down, tells the computer. The computer looks at all kinds of factors and decides how wide to open the throttle with the little electric motor that's inside it. Now, you got to replace the whole throttle body assembly when they go bad, and it's a typical problem with these Dodges. Now, people have been whining for years, saying they didn't build them right, they should recall them. Well, of course, Chrysler fights that tooth and nail. They don't have to fix stuff for free. Granted, this has got 140-something thousand miles on it now, so it's been driven quite a bit. Things will eventually wear out. This is the first time he's really having a problem with that system. He bought it brand new. It was about $21,000. He's got a lot of miles on it. It's typical. It burns a little bit of oil, but not bad. It's still the original engine. It's still the original transmission. You can see a lot of the parts are still original. You have a nice body style to them. Even the wheels. Aha! It fooled me. I was going to say even the alloy wheels still look good, but those aren't alloy wheels. Those are hubcaps. They're steel wheels beneath. And truthfully, you're better off with steel wheels, because if you bend them, you can hammer them back. They don't shatter like alloy wheels. They cost a whole bunch of money. They look perfectly fine from the outside, but they're a lot cheaper to replace, and they actually outlast alloy wheels for one main reason. It doesn't rust, but it pits. Especially if you live in an area up north where they put salt on the road. They get so pitted that they won't even seal air anymore, and they'll start leaking. Then you got to buy these expensive alloy wheels. Steel wheels, you can see the inside, superficially rust, but they still hold air because the inside, it doesn't really bother them. The interior's still in decent shape. Cloth seats last the longest. You want to have a car that lasts a long time, get cloth seats. They're comfortable. These are nice padded bucket seats. Leather ones would be all cracked. You can see, here's a little bit of leather, and you can see it's cracked, and that was just an elbow. Now, his main problem is something's going on with the throttle system. He'll be driving down the road, the lightning bolt warning comes on, it starts shuddering, and sometimes you can't even go over 30 miles an hour. Sometimes you can shut it off, turn it back on, it goes back to normal. It comes and it goes. And that gives us a really good idea what's wrong. Electrical problems can often come and go. They're computer-run systems. They can work, not work, not work. Now let's say this had a clogged catalytic converter. A clogged catalytic converter can make the light come on. The exhaust can't breathe out the back. It'd be like if you stuff a potato in your mouth. You couldn't breathe all that well. It'll only go up to a certain speed. That's a clogged catalytic converter. It's going to do that the whole time. It isn't going to do it and then go away for weeks and weeks and then come back. It's clogged up, and it's either going to have to be replaced or taken off. It's not going to fix itself like an electronic problem that can come and go and come and go. So we'll get our scan tool out to look at the raw data. And we got it plugged in here. So we're going to do intelligent diagnosis here. It knows what it is, 2.4, VIN number. And we'll do a smart scan of everything. We'll start with the body control module. It's got one code. So we'll start there. Reverse lamp control circuit open. So we really don't care. That isn't going to make the car go slow. We don't care about that. What we really care about it's a PCM system. It's got a vacuum leak, it's got a catalytic efficiency leak, and a small vacuum leak. So we got little vacuum leaks. That isn't a problem. We'll start it up because that isn't going to make a car stop going at 30 miles an hour. We're going to have to drive it, see if it acts up. As usual, we're going to clear the codes. Then we're going to go to the PCM. We're going to read the data stream. Then we're going to record it and take it for a spin. I set it off and occurs at lower speed, so we'll go a little slower. The electric door locks still work. Give it a little gas. Still not acting up. We'll take it out on a road and see what happens. I mean, for an old vehicle, it still handles pretty good. Track's pretty straight. We hit the brakes. They work perfectly fine, no sounds or anything. The car's actually in decent shape for 148,000 miles. So we'll get to our little drag strip, see if it'll act up there. Let's give it a little drag strip test, see how fast it'll go. Here we go. Not outrageous, but it's pulling strongly enough. And it won't act up, of course. Isn't that the truth? It's afraid of me because I'm a mechanic and it won't act up now. Yeah, it just keeps accelerating, accelerating, accelerating again. It's not hesitating at all. Get down Tiny Town Road here, drive around some more. Isn't it odd? We're hoping this car doesn't run correctly, but it keeps running correctly. If it never does act up, my machine will record it, but it's got to act up for me to figure out what's wrong. But if it doesn't act up and the check engine light doesn't come up for any throttle related problems, that may be good news, because the throttle motor assembly is almost 300 bucks, even at a discount auto parts store. Sometimes they clog up with carbon. They will not trip a code if they're dirty. They'll trip a code if they're broken down electronically. But if they're not broken down electronically, they won't trip a code most of the time. If it does nothing, I'm gonna go take it apart and clean it. Because he did mention that it often does it first thing in the morning. And if it's stuck with carbon and it's cold, then the carbon might stick early in the morning and then break itself loose. So let's go pull it off. Maybe it'll come on the way home. Who knows? I kind of doubt it though. It's running too good. Here we go. We'll accelerate slow. It's not acting up. Well, accelerating fine. Didn't get stuck at 30. I have no acceleration problems. Now, truthfully, I'm surprised that this thing is running as smoothly as it is. Now, he is the original owner, but it actually runs quite well. Shifts fine. There's no lag when you either accelerate or decelerate. So, idle's fine. We shut it off. Now, it happened to him right before he got over here, he just told me. See, it was cold now. Rather than guess with the $300 part, we're gonna take a look at it, see if it needs cleaning. We'll take off the air duct between the air filter and the throttle assembly. There's one end. We'll get that out of the way. And then we do the other end. See this, he's unscrewed the bottom. Get this out of the way. Look at it. It's filthy. It's covered with carbon. Put carbon spray cleaner and spray the heck out of it. There we go. We'll spray it all clean. Now realize carbon can get hard. You might let it soak a little while. Then it'll break in and you can wipe it off better. Now you can see it's whistle clean. And here's a tip. If this was mechanically wearing out, there's plastic gears in here. When they wear out, you hear a grinding noise, because the stupid plastic gears will grind. You step on the gas, you hear a grinding noise. Come in here, have somebody step on the gas, listen. If you hear that grinding, it means the gears are shot and you need a new throttle assembly. In this case, it ran like a top for me. And since it did it coming over here when it was cold, it could just be, it's dirty. Now, if he keeps having the same problem, he'll have to replace it. It's not that big of a deal. 4 bolts, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. You unplug it, take the 4 bolts and bolt it on. But there's only one problem with that. Even at the discount auto parts stores, these things are like 290 bucks. Do you want to throw it away for nothing? No. If you hear it grinding, you have to. But always keep this in mind. Didn't have any codes for the throttle assembly. And that's why I'm cleaning it. If you got codes for the throttle assembly and you clean it, you're practically pissing in the wind, because the codes are there because it knows something either mechanically or electronically is wrong with the throttle. But if it's got carbon on it sticking, that won't trip any codes. It's the same thing with the fuel pump on an old car like this. Let's say your car dies and then starts and it keeps dying and you got no codes at all. The first thing to check is the fuel pump. Because an old car like this, the computer doesn't have a sensor for fuel pressure, so it doesn't know what the fuel pressure is. So if the fuel pressure drops to 0, the computer doesn't know that. So if it did die on the road and never start again, and then later started, it could easily be the fuel pump's going out. It's kind of reverse analysis. You know what it isn't because there's no codes. So if there are no codes, it's something the computer can't think of. In this case, it can't think that it's dirty. It only knows when something's broken, so this should fix it. So we'll put the intake hoses back on. Make sure they're nice and tight. You don't want any air leaks. And don't forget the bottom one. Pull on it, make sure it's nice and tight. There's one thing, you had cleaner in there, it's gonna start up like crap because it's gotta burn the cleaner out. That's normal. See how hard it is to start. Well, not too bad actually. And it's not even really smoking. Just a tiny little bit. Now I've got it running with the AC. You'll get a little bit of shaking until it clears itself up. This should fix it. Now, if it doesn't, it would be that whole throttle assembly starting to break down. As you can see, it's easy to replace. So why spend 290 something bucks on something that a little spray cleaner might fix? Just remember, like I said, if you do have codes for the sensor itself, for the whole throttle body sensor and the throttle body motor, you're really better off on one of these buying the thing and putting it on and getting it out of the way, because they will break down over time. This had no codes for it. He's the original owner. He's never had that clean, so it's dirty for 140,000 miles. This could very well fix it, but if it doesn't, he can just buy one bolted on himself. Didn't act up driving it, so he'll probably find out tomorrow morning when it's cold and he starts it up. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.